The bank called about a suspicious charge on my credit card, $500 to a flower shop in the city. I told them I didn't make that purchase. The woman on the phone was polite, professional. She asked if anyone else had access to my card. And that's when I remembered. 2 months ago, Daniel asked to borrow my card for an emergency. His voice had been stressed on the phone. He said his card wasn't working and he needed to pay for something urgently. He promised he'd give it back the next day. I said yes, of course. He's my son. What mother says no to her son in an emergency? But he never gave it back, and I never asked. I figured he forgot, or maybe he was embarrassed. I didn't want to make him feel bad. The bank woman asked if I wanted to dispute the charges. I said no. Let me check something first. I hung up and logged into my account online. My hands were already shaking, though I didn't know why yet. Just a feeling. A mother's instinct that something was very, very wrong. I scrolled through the statement, and there it was. Not just the flowers. A venue deposit, $2,000. A catering company, $3,500. A photography package, $1,800. A tuxedo rental, wedding invitations, a cake, all dated last month, all purchased with my credit card, my money, all for yesterday. At the bottom of one charge, there was a description: Carter Martinez wedding reception. My son's last name, Carter, and a name I'd never heard before, Martinez. My own credit card helped pay for my son's wedding, a wedding I knew nothing about, a wedding that happened yesterday while I was at home folding laundry and watching old movies, wondering why Daniel hadn't returned my calls. I sat there at my kitchen table staring at that screen, and I felt something break inside my chest. Not my heart, something deeper than that, something I didn't even know could break. My name is Rebecca Carter. I'm 56 years old. I've lived in the same house for 32 years. It's a modest 3-bedroom home with blue shutters and a front porch where I used to sit with my husband on summer evenings. We'd drink lemonade and watch the neighborhood kids ride their bikes up and down the street. Those kids are all grown now. Some have moved away, some have kids of their own. And my husband, Robert, has been gone for 8 years. I raised 2 children in this house. My daughter Emma, who's 31 now, and my son Daniel, who just turned 29. They grew up in these rooms. Their height marks are still penciled on the doorframe in the kitchen. Their childhood drawings are still stuck to the refrigerator with magnets, faded and curling at the edges. This house holds every memory of the life I built. Birthday parties with homemade cakes, Christmas mornings with wrapping paper scattered everywhere, homework at the dining table, scraped knees cleaned in the bathroom sink, teenage arguments about curfews and car privileges, graduations, celebrations, tears, laughter. Everything happened here. Robert and I weren't rich. He worked as an electrician. I worked part-time as a school secretary. We saved where we could. We drove old cars. We took modest vacations. But we always made sure our kids had what they needed. Music lessons for Emma, baseball equipment for Daniel, college funds that we contributed to every month, even when money was tight. We were a normal family, a good family. We ate dinner together most nights. We talked about our days. We had our problems, sure, what family doesn't? But we loved each other. I never doubted that, not once. When Robert got sick, everything shifted. It happened so fast. He'd been complaining about back pain for a few weeks. We thought it was from work, from climbing ladders and lifting heavy equipment. But then he started losing weight, getting tired easily. I made him go to the doctor. The doctor sent him for tests. The tests found cancer. Stage 4, pancreatic, the kind that doesn't give you much time. 6 months. That's all we had. 6 months from diagnosis to his last breath. Emma was 23 then. She just graduated college and started her first real job. Daniel was 21, still in school, studying business management. They both came home when we told them. They both cried. We all cried. Those 6 months were the hardest of my life, watching the man I loved fade away, piece by piece. Watching my children watch their father die. Trying to stay strong for everyone while breaking apart inside. Robert died on a Tuesday morning in October. The leaves were falling. The hospice nurse was there. Emma held his left hand. I held his right. Daniel stood at the foot of the bed, silent, his face pale. Robert's last words were, "Take care of each other." We promised we would, and for a while we did. Emma grieved openly. She cried, she talked about her feelings, she went to therapy, she leaned on her friends and her boyfriend, who later became her husband. She worked through her pain in healthy ways. But Daniel closed up like a door slamming shut. He stopped talking about his dad. He threw himself into his studies. He graduated a semester early. He got a job in the city, an hour away. He moved into an apartment. He started his life. And slowly, quietly, he started disappearing from mine. It wasn't dramatic. There was no fight, no harsh words, just distance. Like he was standing on a shore and slowly drifting out to sea, and I couldn't reach him no matter how hard I tried. At first, I told myself it was normal. He's young, he's building his career, he's busy. That's what young people do. They build their own lives. That's healthy, that's good. But then the calls became less frequent. Once a week became once a month. Once a month became every few months. The conversations became shorter, more surface level. "How's work?" "Fine." "How are you?" "Good." "Okay, well, I'll let you go." "Yeah, I'm pretty busy." "Love you." "You too." I'd hang up and feel empty, like I just talked to a polite stranger, not my son. I started texting instead, little things. "Thinking of you, hope you're having a good day, saw this and thought of you," with a photo of something he used to like. Baseball games, chocolate chip cookies, sunsets. Sometimes he'd respond, usually just thanks or a thumbs up emoji. Sometimes he wouldn't respond at all. I invited him for holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, his birthday. Sometimes he'd come, but he arrived late and leave early. He'd sit at the table, eating quietly, checking his phone. When I asked about his life, he'd give short answers. "Work is fine, nothing new, just staying busy." Emma would try to engage him. "Come on, Danny, tell us something. Are you seeing anyone? Do you have friends there? What do you do for fun?" He'd shrug. "Not really, just working mostly." After a while, Emma stopped trying too. She'd give me these looks across the table, sad looks, concerned looks, but neither of us knew what to do. Last year, Daniel didn't come home for Christmas. He said he had to work. I didn't believe him, but I didn't push. I sent him a care package with cookies and a sweater, and a card that said, "Missing you, love, Mom." He texted back, "Thanks." That was it. Just thanks. Emma saw how much it hurt me. She tried to talk to him. She called him and asked what was going on. Why was he being so distant? Did something happen? Was he angry about something? He told her he wasn't angry. He was just busy. He was fine. Everything was fine. He said I was overreacting. He said I needed to stop being so clingy. Clingy. That word cut deep. I wasn't trying to be clingy. I was just trying to be his mother. I just wanted to know my son, to be part of his life. Was that too much to ask? Emma told me to give him space. She said maybe he needed time. Maybe he was still processing Dad's death in his own way. Maybe he'd come around eventually. So I gave him space. I stopped calling as much. I stopped texting as often. I waited for him to reach out to me. He didn't. Months went by. I'd see his social media posts occasionally, photos of him at restaurants, at concerts, with people I didn't recognize. He looked happy. He looked fine. He just looked fine without me. And that hurt more than anything. 3 months ago, he called me. Out of nowhere. I was so surprised I almost dropped the phone. My heart leapt. Maybe this was it. Maybe he was finally reaching out. Maybe things were going to get better. "Hey, Mom," he said. His voice sounded strained, nervous. "Hey, Daniel. Hi, sweetheart. How are you? I've been thinking about you." "I'm good. Listen, I need a favor." My stomach sank a little, but I pushed the feeling away. "Of course. Anything. My credit card isn't working. I need to make a payment for something and it keeps getting declined. Can I use yours? Just this once. It's an emergency." "Is everything okay? Do you need money?" No, I don't need money. I have money. It's just a card issue. My bank is being weird. I'll pay you back right away. I just need to make this payment today." "Okay, of course. Let me get my card." I gave him the number, all the details he needed. He thanked me. He said he'd send the card back to me the next day. He said he appreciated it. "Daniel," I said before he could hang up, "maybe we could have dinner sometime. I'd love to see you. It's been so long." There was a pause, a long pause. "Yeah, maybe. I'm really swamped right now with work, but maybe in a few weeks." "Okay, I'd really like that." "Sure. Thanks again, Mom. I gotta go." And he was gone. He never sent the card back. I figured he forgot. Or maybe he was embarrassed about needing help. I didn't want to nag him about it. I thought maybe it would be a good excuse to see him. I could say, "Hey, I need my card back." And maybe he'd invite me over. Or maybe we'd meet for coffee. But I never did. Because I was scared. Scared he'd be annoyed. Scared he'd think I was being clingy again. Scared of pushing him further away. So the card just stayed with him. And I didn't think about it again. Until the bank called today. After I saw the charges on my credit card, I sat at my kitchen table for over an hour. I didn't cry. I couldn't. I was too numb, too shocked. My mind couldn't process what I was seeing. My son had gotten married yesterday, and he'd used my money to help pay for it, without telling me, without inviting me, without even letting me know he was engaged. I didn't know he had a girlfriend. I didn't know he was in love. I didn't know he was planning a future with someone. He'd kept all of it from me, completely, entirely, as if I wasn't his mother at all, as if I was just no one. I picked up my phone. My hands were shaking. I pulled up Daniel's contact. I stared at his name on the screen. I wanted to call him. I wanted to scream. I wanted to demand answers, but I couldn't make myself press the button. What would I even say? Instead, I called Emma. She answered on the second ring. "Hey, Mom, what's up?" "Emma?" My voice cracked. "Did you know?" "Did I know what? About Daniel? About a wedding?" There was silence. Long, terrible silence. "Mom, did you know?" I asked again, louder this time. "Mom, I didn't know how to tell you." The room started spinning. I gripped the edge of the table. "You knew. You knew, and you didn't tell me?" "He made me promise not to. He said he was going to tell you himself. He said he needed to do it in his own time." His own time? I felt anger rising now, hot and sharp. His wedding was yesterday, Emma. Yesterday. And I found out from my bank statement. "Did you go? Were you there?" Another terrible silence. "Yes," she finally said, her voice small. "I was there." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. My own daughter, my Emma, who called me every week, who told me she loved me, who I thought was on my side. She'd been there. She'd watched her brother get married, and she'd said nothing to me. "How could you?" I whispered. "Mom, please, let me explain. It's complicated." "Complicated? My son got married and no one told me? What's complicated about that?" "He didn't want you there, Mom." "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But he specifically said he didn't want you there. And I didn't know what to do. He's my brother. I couldn't just not go." "But you could keep it from me." "I begged him to tell you. I fought with him about it. I told him it was cruel. I told him you deserved to know. But he wouldn't listen. He said it was his wedding and his choice. He said if I told you, he'd never forgive me." I was crying now, silent tears running down my face. "Why?" I asked. "Why doesn't he want me in his life? What did I do?" "I don't know, Mom. I really don't. I've tried to talk to him about it. He just shuts down. He says you don't understand him. He says you're too much. He says he needs space." "Space? I've given him nothing but space for years. I barely talk to him anymore. I barely exist in his life. How much more space does he need?" Emma was crying too now. I could hear it in her voice. "I don't know. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I should have told you. I should have said something. I didn't want to hurt you, and I didn't want to lose him too." We both cried on the phone for a while, neither of us knowing what to say, neither of us knowing how to fix this. Finally, Emma spoke. "Do you want me to come over?" "No," I said quietly. "I need to be alone right now." "Mom, please don't shut me out. I know I messed up. I know I should have told you, but I love you, and I'm here for you." "I know," I said. I need time." "Okay, but call me if you need anything. Anything at all. I mean it." "I will." We hung up, and I sat there in my kitchen, surrounded by silence, staring at the credit card statement on my laptop screen. I looked at the name again. Martinez. Sophia Martinez. That must be her name. His wife. The woman my son married. The woman I'd never met. Never even heard of. I opened Facebook. I hadn't used it much in years, but I kept the account to see Emma's photos of Lily. I searched for Daniel's profile. He'd unfriended me a year ago. I'd noticed, but hadn't said anything. Hadn't wanted to seem clingy. But his profile wasn't completely private. I could still see his profile picture. It was a photo of him with a young woman. She was pretty. Dark hair, warm smile. They were both laughing. They looked happy. I clicked on the photo, hoping to see more, but the rest of his page was locked. I couldn't see anything else. I searched for Sofia Martinez and the city Daniel lived in. There were several profiles. I clicked through them until I found one that seemed right. A young woman, about Daniel's age, in a relationship with Daniel Carter, recent photos of them together. And then I saw it, posted yesterday. Wedding photos, professional ones, beautiful ones. Sophia in a white dress, elegant and simple. Daniel in a gray suit, looking handsome and grown up. They were standing under an arch covered in white flowers. The sun was setting behind them. They were looking at each other like they were the only two people in the world. There were other photos too. The ceremony, the reception, people dancing, people laughing, toasts being made, cake being cut. All the moments I was supposed to be there for. All the moments I'd missed. I scrolled through the comments, dozens of them. Congratulations, beautiful couple, best day ever. So happy for you both. I recognized some of the names. Daniel's friends from high school, cousins, family friends, people who knew me, people who must have known I wasn't there. Did they wonder why? Did they ask? Or did Daniel tell them some story about me? Some excuse for why his own mother wasn't at his wedding? I kept scrolling. And then I saw a photo that made my breath catch. It was a group photo, the whole wedding party. Daniel and Sophia in the center, bridesmaids and groomsmen on either side. And there, standing next to Daniel, smiling, was Emma, in a dusty rose dress, holding a bouquet. She wasn't just a guest. She was in the wedding party. She was a bridesmaid. She wasn't just there. She was part of it. An important part. And she'd never said a word to me. I closed the laptop. I couldn't look anymore. It hurt too much. I got up and walked through my house. This house full of memories. I went to Daniel's old room. I hadn't changed it much. His bed was still there, his old posters on the walls, his baseball trophies on the shelf. I'd kept it like a shrine, waiting for him to come home, waiting for him to come back to me. But he wasn't coming back. He made that clear. He'd built a whole life without me. He'd fallen in love, got engaged, planned a wedding, and gotten married. And he'd done all of it without telling me, without including me, without wanting me there. I sat on his old bed, and finally, I let myself break down. I sobbed, deep, painful sobs that came from somewhere dark and hollow inside me. I cried for the son I'd lost, for the relationship that had died without me even realizing it, for all the moments I'd missed and would never get back. I cried until I had no tears left, until my throat was raw and my eyes were swollen, until the sun started to set and the room grew dark around me. And then I just sat there in the darkness, wondering where everything had gone so wrong. I put my phone down and went back to staring at nothing. Around noon, my phone rang again. This time it was a number I recognized, Daniel's number. My heart stopped. He was calling me. After everything, he was finally calling me. I stared at the phone, watching it ring. Part of me wanted to answer, wanted to hear his voice, wanted him to explain, to apologize, to tell me this was all a misunderstanding. But another part of me, a part I didn't recognize, was angry, furious even. And that part of me let the call go to voicemail. A few minutes later, a voicemail notification appeared. I waited 10 minutes before I listened to it. I needed to prepare myself. I pressed play. "Hey, Mom." His voice sounded uncomfortable, strained. "So, I guess Emma told you, or you saw something online. I don't know. But, yeah, I got married yesterday. I'm sorry you had to find out like that. I was going to tell you. I didn't know how. And then it just kept getting later and later, and it got harder to bring it up. I know you're probably upset, and I get that. But this was my day, mine and Sophia's, and I needed to do it in a way that felt right for me. I hope you can understand that. Anyway, yeah, I'll call you later. We can talk about it." "Okay, bye." I listened to it 3 times. Each time I felt something different: confusion, hurt, anger, disbelief. He was sorry I had to find out like that, but he wasn't sorry for not telling me. He wasn't sorry for excluding me. He was sorry I was upset, but he defended his choice. He said it was his day and he needed to do it in a way that felt right for him. What about me? Didn't I matter? Didn't I deserve to be there? Didn't 29 years of being his mother count for anything? I called him back. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. The phone rang 4 times. Then he answered. "Hello? Daniel?" My voice was cold, colder than I'd ever spoken to him before. "Hey, Mom. Did you get my message?" "I did." There was a pause. "So, what do you want me to say?" "I want you to explain to me why you used my credit card to help pay for a wedding you didn't invite me to." Another pause, longer this time. "What are you talking about?" "The bank called me about charges on my card. The card you borrowed 2 months ago for an emergency. The card you never returned. The card you used to buy flowers and pay deposits and rent a tuxedo for your wedding. My card, Daniel. My money. I was going to pay you back. That's what you're focused on? Paying me back? Not the fact that you lied to me. Not the fact that you got married without telling me. I didn't lie to you. You didn't tell me you were engaged. You didn't tell me you were planning a wedding. You didn't invite me. You didn't even tell me you had a girlfriend. How was that not lying? It's called privacy, Mom. I'm allowed to have a private life. The coldness in his voice shocked me. Like I was being unreasonable. Like I was the problem. Privacy? My voice rose. You're calling this privacy? This is erasure, Daniel. You erased me from one of the most important days of your life. Because I knew you'd make it about you. This is exactly what you're doing right now. You're making my wedding about you and your feelings instead of being happy for me. How can I be happy for you when you didn't even tell me it was happening? How can I celebrate something I wasn't allowed to be part of? You weren't not allowed. I just didn't invite you. There's a difference. Why? My voice broke. Why didn't you want me there? What did I do that was so terrible that you couldn't have your own mother at your wedding? He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter too. Tired. You didn't do one big, terrible thing, Mom. It's just everything. It's always been everything. You're too much. You're too involved. You're too emotional. You make everything about you. Even when I was a kid, you were always hovering, always asking questions, always needing to know everything about my life, always needing me to be something I'm not. I was being your mother. I was caring about you. You were smothering me. Dad saw it too. He used to tell you to give me space, but you never listened. The mention of Robert hit me like a slap. Don't you dare bring your father into this. He loved you. We both loved you. I know you loved me, but love isn't enough when it feels like you're being suffocated. After Dad died, it got worse. You clung to me. You needed me to fill this hole he left, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't be what you needed. So I left. I built my own life. And for the first time, I could breathe. Tears were streaming down my face now. I never meant to make you feel that way. I just missed you. You're my son. And I'm also my own person. I'm not just your son. I'm not just Dad's replacement. I'm Daniel. Just Daniel. And I needed to figure out who that was, without you watching my every move. So you cut me out completely? You couldn't just tell me how you felt? We couldn't work on it together? I tried, Mom. I tried pulling back. I tried being less available. I gave you all the signals, but you didn't get it. You just kept pushing, kept calling, kept texting, kept making me feel guilty for living my own life. So yeah, eventually I just stopped. I stopped trying to make you understand because it was easier to just keep you at a distance. And the wedding? You thought it would be easier to just not invite me? Yes, he said simply. I did. Because I knew if you were there, the whole day would be about managing your emotions, about making sure you were okay, about dealing with your feelings about Dad not being there. And I didn't want that. I wanted one day that was just about me and Sophia. One day where I didn't have to be your son or Dad's son or anyone's anything. Just me. I couldn't speak. My throat was too tight. My chest felt like it was caving in. I'm sorry I used your credit card without asking properly. That wasn't right. I'll pay you back for everything. Every cent. I'll send you a check this week. But as for the wedding, I'm not sorry about that. I did what I needed to do, and I think deep down, you know this was probably better for both of us. Better? I finally choked out. How is this better? How is breaking my heart better? Maybe it's not better for you, but it's better for me, and I have to put my life first now. I have a wife. I have my own family, and I need to protect that. I need to protect her from all of this, from this drama. I'm not drama, Daniel. I'm your mother. I know, and I don't hate you. I don't. But I also can't keep letting you be the center of my world. I have to move on, and I think you need to move on too. Move on? Move on from my own child? Move on from this version of me that you have in your head, the version that needs you, the version that comes home for every holiday and calls you every week and tells you everything. That's not who I am. That's not who I've ever really been. And holding on to that, it's just hurting both of us. I was sobbing openly now. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to stop being your mother. I'm not asking you to stop being my mother. I'm just asking you to let me go, to let me live my life without all this weight. Is this it then? I asked through my tears. Are you done with me? Am I ever going to see you again? He sighed, a long, exhausted sigh. I don't know, Mom. I really don't. Maybe someday, when things are calmer, when we've both had time to process everything. But right now I need space, real space. And I need you to respect that. And if I can't, if I need more than that, then I guess we'll stay exactly where we are, distant, separate. Because I can't give you what you want. I just can't. What about the money? I asked quietly. Do I mean so little that you take my money and then shut me out? I told you I'll pay you back. That was wrong. I should have been honest about what I needed the card for. But everything else I stand by. We sat in silence for a moment. I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line. I wanted to say something that would fix this, something that would make him understand. Make him change his mind. Make him love me the way I loved him. But there were no words. There was nothing I could say. I have to go, he finally said. Sophia and I are leaving for our honeymoon this afternoon. Where are you going? I asked, hating how small my voice sounded. Does it matter? It matters to me. He was quiet. Then, Hawaii. We're going to Hawaii for a week. That sounds beautiful. I hope you have a wonderful time. Thanks. He paused. Take care of yourself, Mom. Daniel, wait. But he had already hung up. I sat there holding my phone, listening to the silence on the other end. And then I put the phone down and buried my face in my hands and cried until I thought I might break apart completely. The days after that phone call were the darkest of my life. Darker in some ways than when Robert died. Because when Robert died, I had people around me. I had support. I had my children. We grieved together. We held each other up. But this I had to face alone. Emma came over 2 days later. I'd finally answered one of her calls and agreed to see her. She brought Lily with her, my granddaughter, 4 years old, with Emma's eyes and Robert's smile. Lily ran to me when she came in. Grandma! She hugged my legs and I bent down and scooped her up. She smelled like strawberry shampoo and sunshine. She kissed my cheek with her sticky little lips and said, "I missed you." "I missed you too, sweetheart," I whispered, holding her tight. Emma watched us with tears in her eyes. When I finally put Lily down and sent her to play with the toys I kept in the living room for her visits, Emma hugged me, hard. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry." I know. And I did. I knew Emma never meant to hurt me. She'd been caught in an impossible situation. I couldn't forgive her yet, not fully, but I understood. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I discovered everything. Emma made tea. We sat in silence for a while, just holding our warm cups, watching Lily play. "What did he say to you?" Emma finally asked, "when you talked to him?" I told her everything. Every word of that horrible phone conversation. I watched Emma's face as I spoke, watched her expressions shift from sadness to anger to something like resignation. "He's wrong," she said when I finished. "He's wrong about you. You weren't smothering. You were just loving him. There's a difference." "Is there?" I asked. Maybe he's right. Maybe I was too much. Maybe I did cling too hard after your father died. "No," Emma said firmly. "No, Mom. You were grieving. We all were. And yes, maybe you leaned on us more than usual, but that's normal. That's human. And it didn't last forever. You got stronger. You moved forward. Danny he couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle any real emotion. He's always been like that." "Your father used to worry about that," I said quietly. "He used to say Daniel kept everything locked up inside." He did. And instead of learning how to process things, he just ran away. That's what he's doing now, running. And he's blaming you for it because it's easier than admitting he's the one with the problem. Maybe. Or maybe we're both right. Maybe I was too much and he couldn't handle it, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. Emma reached across the table and took my hand. "Maybe. But Mom, even if you made mistakes, even if you weren't perfect, you didn't deserve this. You didn't deserve to be shut out of his wedding. You didn't deserve to find out the way you did. That was cruel. And I should have told you. I should have warned you, even if it meant Danny got mad at me." "Why didn't you?" I asked. Not accusingly, just honestly. I needed to understand. She looked down at her tea. "Because I was scared. I was scared of losing him too. After Dad died, I felt like our family was falling apart. And I thought if I could just keep everyone connected, even a little bit, maybe we'd be okay. Maybe Danny would come around eventually. But I was wrong. I was wrong to keep his secret. I was wrong to prioritize his feelings over yours. You're my mom. You deserved the truth." "You were trying to keep the peace," I said. "I understand that." "But there is no peace," Emma said, her voice breaking. "There's just distance and lies and hurt. And I contributed to that. I'm so ashamed, Mom." "Don't be," I said, squeezing her hand. "You were in an impossible position. And I forgive you. I do. You're here now. That's what matters." We cried together then, both of us releasing some of the pain we'd been carrying. Lily looked over at us from the living room, concerned. "Why is Mommy crying?" she asked. "We're okay, sweetheart," Emma called to her. "Just grown-up stuff. Keep playing." Lily went back to her toys, satisfied with that answer. The resilience of children, I thought. Their ability to move past things so easily. I wished I had that ability. What are you going to do? Emma asked after we both composed ourselves. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to fight for him, to keep trying, to not give up. But another part thinks maybe he's right. Maybe I do need to let go. Maybe holding on is just hurting both of us. You shouldn't have to choose between loving your son and respecting his boundaries. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, I said. I learned that when your father died, and I'm learning it again now. Emma stayed for a few hours. We didn't talk much more about Daniel. Instead, we talked about other things. Her job, her husband, Marcus, Lily's preschool. Normal things. Life things. It helped. It reminded me that even though one relationship in my life was broken, others were still intact. Before she left, Emma hugged me again. I love you, Mom, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm here, always. I love you too, sweetheart. Thank you for coming. Will you be okay? Eventually. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. After they left, the house felt quiet again. Empty. I walked through the rooms, seeing them differently now. This house that had held so much life, so much love, now felt like a museum of the past, a place where memories lived, but life had moved on. I went to Daniel's room again. I stood in the doorway, looking at all his old things, his baseball trophies from Little League, his high school yearbooks, his graduation photo on the wall. I'd kept it all like a shrine, like he said, waiting for him to come back. But he wasn't coming back. I spent the next week in a fog. I went through the motions of living. I ate, though I wasn't hungry. I slept, though I had nightmares. I worked, though I couldn't focus. My coworkers noticed something was wrong, but I told them I was fine, just tired, just under the weather. I couldn't bring myself to tell them the truth, that my son had gotten married without me, that I'd been erased from his life. It felt too shameful, too painful, too raw. A week after the wedding, an envelope arrived in the mail. It was from Daniel. Inside was a check for $8,342, the exact amount he charged to my credit card, and a note. The note was short, typed, not handwritten. It said, "Mom, here's the money I owe you. Thank you for the loan, even though you didn't know you were giving it. I'm sorry for the deception. I hope this closes that chapter. I'll reach out when I'm ready to talk again. Take care. Daniel." I stared at that note for a long time. So formal, so distant. Take care instead of I love you. A dash in his name instead of your son. I put the check on my desk. I didn't deposit it right away. I couldn't. It felt like accepting it meant accepting that this was really happening, that my son was really gone from my life. But eventually, I did deposit it. Because I needed to. Because holding on to it wasn't going to change anything. The weeks passed, then months. I went to therapy. My doctor recommended it when I went in for a checkup and broke down in the examination room. The therapist, a kind woman named Dr. Patel, helped me work through my grief. She told me in one session, "You're grieving a living person. That's one of the most complicated forms of grief there is. You're mourning the relationship you had, the relationship you wanted, and the person you thought your son was, all at once." How do I stop? How do I let go? I asked. "Slowly," she said, and with a lot of compassion for yourself. This isn't your fault. You didn't fail as a mother. Sometimes people grow apart, even parents and children. Sometimes people carry wounds we can't see and can't heal. You can only control your own actions, your own healing. But I want to fix it, I said. I want to make it better. I know, but you can't fix another person. You can only work on yourself and hope that someday, if he's ready, he'll do his own work too. It was hard advice to accept, but slowly, over time, I began to. I started to focus on my own life, on my own healing. I started taking walks every morning, long walks through the neighborhood. I'd never done that before. I'd always been too busy, too focused on other people. But now, I walked and I noticed things. The way the light filtered through the trees, the sound of birds, the way the seasons changed. I joined a book club at the library. I'd always loved reading, but I'd let it fall away over the years. Now, I made time for it again. I met new people, made new friends, women my age who understood loss and change and the complexity of family. I started volunteering at a local food bank. I needed to feel useful, needed to help others. It gave me purpose beyond my own pain. I deepened my relationship with Emma. We talked more, we visited more. I became more present in Lily's life. I went to her preschool concerts, her ballet recitals, her birthday parties. I was the grandmother I'd always wanted to be, but had been too distracted by Daniel's absence to fully become. Emma noticed the change in me. "You seem different, Mom," she said one day. "Lighter, somehow, even with everything." "I'm trying," I told her. "I'm trying to build a life that doesn't revolve around waiting for Daniel to come back, because he might not, and I can't put my life on hold forever." "I'm proud of you," she said, tears in her eyes. "Dad would be proud too." I thought about Robert often during those months. I wondered what he would say about all of this. Would he be disappointed in Daniel? Would he be angry? Or would he understand in a way I couldn't? I'd never know. But I like to think he'd tell me what he always told me when I was worried about the kids. They're going to be who they're going to be. All we can do is love them and hope we gave them enough to find their way. 6 months after the wedding, something unexpected happened. I was at the grocery store, pushing my cart through the produce section, when I saw her. A young woman with dark hair, looking at avocados. She looked familiar, though I'd never met her in person. I'd only seen her in photos online. Sophia, Daniel's wife. My first instinct was to turn around, to avoid her, to pretend I hadn't seen her. But something stopped me. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was just exhaustion from running away from things. I walked toward her. My heart was pounding. My hands were shaking on the cart handle. "Sophia," I said quietly. She turned. Her eyes widened when she saw me. She knew who I was. Of course she did. "Mrs. Carter," she said. Her voice was soft, nervous. "Rebecca," I corrected gently. "You can call me Rebecca." We stood there in awkward silence for a moment. Other shoppers moved around us, oblivious to the weight of this moment. I didn't know you lived in this area," she finally said. I don't. I'm about 20 minutes away. I just come here sometimes because they have better produce. Oh, more silence. She looked uncomfortable, like she wanted to leave but didn't know how to politely excuse herself. How are you? I asked. How was the honeymoon? It was beautiful, she said, quietly. Hawaii was amazing. I'm glad. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes. Sadness. Guilt, maybe. I'm sorry, she suddenly blurted out. I'm so sorry. About the wedding, about everything. I told Daniel he should tell you. I told him he should invite you, but he said it was complicated. He said you'd understand eventually. It's not your fault, I said, and I meant it. This is between Daniel and me. You're not responsible for our relationship. But I feel responsible, she said, her eyes filling with tears. You're his mother. You should have been there. I had my whole family there. My mom, my dad, my sisters, my grandparents, everyone I love. And Daniel had almost no one. Just his sister and a few friends. It felt wrong. The whole day felt wrong because of it. I didn't know what to say. Part of me was grateful to hear this, grateful to know that someone saw how wrong it was. But another part of me felt sad for her, sad that her wedding day had been tainted by this family drama. It wasn't your day to fix, I said gently, and I hope you had beautiful moments anyway, despite everything. We did, but I think about you. Daniel doesn't talk about you much, but when he does, I can see it. The guilt, the pain. He acts like he's fine, like he made the right choice, but I don't think he is fine. I don't think he knows how to fix this. I don't think he wants to fix it, I said honestly. I think he wants to move forward without looking back. And maybe that's what he needs to do. Maybe, Sophia said, but I don't think he's happy. Not really. He has nightmares sometimes. He wakes up calling for his dad, and then he just shuts down, won't talk about it, won't let me in. He does the same thing with everything. Any emotion that's too big, he just closes the door on it. I nodded. He's always been like that, even as a boy. His father worried about it. I worry about it too. I love him, I really do. But sometimes I feel like I'm married to a stranger, like there's this whole part of him that I'll never be allowed to see. We stood there, two women who loved the same man, both locked out of parts of his heart. Give him time, I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it myself. Maybe he'll open up eventually. Maybe, she said. She hesitated, then, Would you want to get coffee sometime? I know that might be weird, and Daniel might not like it, but I'd like to know you. I like to hear stories about him growing up. I feel like I'm trying to love someone I don't fully understand, and you're the person who knows him best. I was surprised by the offer, touched even, but I also knew it was complicated. I don't think that's a good idea, I said gently, not because I don't want to, but because I think it would make things harder for all of us. Daniel needs to figure out what he wants, and if we go behind his back, it'll just create more problems. She nodded, understanding, but clearly disappointed. You're probably right. I wish things were different. Me too, I said. But they are what they are. And we both have to respect his choices, even if we don't agree with them. Do you think he'll ever come around? Do you think he'll ever let you back in? I don't know, I said honestly. I hope so. But I'm not waiting for it anymore. I'm living my life. And if he decides someday that he wants me in his life, I'll be here. But I can't put everything on hold hoping for that day. Sophia smiled sadly. You're stronger than I am. I don't know if I could do that. You'd be surprised what you can do when you have no other choice. We exchanged a few more pleasantries and then we parted ways. I watched her walk away, pushing her cart toward the checkout lanes, and I felt a strange mix of emotions. Sadness for the relationship we'd never have, compassion for the struggles she was facing, and a small, painful hope that maybe she could reach the parts of Daniel that I never could. I finished my shopping and drove home. That night, I thought about the encounter, about Sophia's words, about Daniel's nightmares, about the walls he'd built around himself. And I realized something. This wasn't really about me. It never had been. Daniel's distance, his coldness, his need to cut me out, it wasn't because I was a bad mother. It was because he was in pain. Pain he didn't know how to process. Pain from losing his father. Pain from feeling like he had to be strong for everyone. Pain from expectations he couldn't meet. And he dealt with that pain the only way he knew how, by running, by shutting down, by cutting off anything that made him feel too much. It didn't make what he did right. It didn't erase my hurt, but it helped me understand. And understanding, I realized, was a kind of healing. A year passed, then another. Life continued in its quiet way. Emma had another baby, a son they named Robert after his grandfather. I cried when she told me the name. Happy tears this time. I was there for the birth. I held my grandson minutes after he came into the world. I watched Lily become a big sister. I was present for all of it. I retired from my job at the school. After 30 years, it was time. I started traveling. Small trips at first. A weekend in the mountains, a week at the beach, then bigger trips. I went to Italy with my book club. I visited national parks. I saw things I'd always wanted to see but had never made time for. I made peace with my house. I finally cleaned out Daniel's room. I packed up his old things carefully, lovingly, and stored them in the attic. Then I turned the room into a craft space. I'd always wanted to learn to paint, and now I did. I wasn't very good, but I enjoyed it, and that was enough. I made peace with Robert's death in a new way, too. In therapy, I realized I'd been carrying guilt about it. Guilt that I hadn't saved him. Guilt that I'd leaned on the kids too much afterward. Guilt that somehow my grief had pushed Daniel away. But Dr. Patel helped me see that grief isn't something to feel guilty about. It's something to move through. And everyone moves through it differently. Robert's death had changed all of us. It had changed our family. And while I wish things had turned out differently, I couldn't change the past. I could only accept it and keep moving forward. I still thought about Daniel. Of course I did. He was my son. I would always love him. But I stopped waiting for him to come back. I stopped checking my phone constantly, hoping for a text. I stopped overanalyzing every holiday, wondering if this would be the year he'd reach out. Instead, I focused on gratitude. Gratitude for Emma, who called me every week without fail. Gratitude for Marcus, who treated me like his own mother. Gratitude for Lily and Robert, who filled my life with joy and laughter. Gratitude for my friends, my hobbies, my health, my little life that I'd rebuilt from the ashes of my pain. On the second anniversary of Daniel's wedding, I did something I'd been thinking about for a while. I wrote him a letter. Not an angry letter, not a guilt-tripping letter, just an honest one. I wrote, Dear Daniel, it's been 2 years since your wedding. 2 years since we last spoke. I've thought about you every day in that time, wondered how you are, hoped you're happy, hoped your marriage is strong and full of love. I want you to know that I've done a lot of thinking over these past 2 years, a lot of healing, and I've come to understand some things. I understand that I wasn't a perfect mother. I made mistakes. After your father died, I was lost, and I probably leaned on you more than I should have. I probably expected things from you that weren't fair. I probably made you feel like you had to take care of me instead of just being my son. For that, I'm truly sorry. But I also want you to know that everything I did came from love. Maybe it was too much love. Maybe it was the wrong kind of love. But it was real. And it was genuine. And it was all I knew how to give. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to reach out. I don't expect anything from you anymore. I've learned that expectations only lead to disappointment, and I don't want to be disappointed in you. I want to remember you as the beautiful boy you were, the boy who used to bring me dandelions from the yard and call them flowers, the boy who made me Mother's Day cards with crayon drawings, the boy who once told me I was the best mom in the world. I know you're not that boy anymore. You're a man now, with your own life, your own family, your own path, and that's how it should be. I'm writing this letter not to change your mind or to guilt you into coming back. I'm writing it to let you know that I'm okay. I've built a life that I'm proud of. I've found peace. I've found joy. And I found ways to be happy even without you in my life. But if someday you decide you want to talk, if someday you decide you want to try again, I'll be here. Not waiting, not holding my breath, just living my life, but with a door always unlocked for you. I hope you're well, Daniel. I hope Sophia is well. I hope your marriage is everything you wanted it to be. I hope you find healing for whatever pain you're carrying. I hope you find peace. And I hope you know, even after everything, that I love you. I will always love you. You're my son. Nothing will ever change that. Take care of yourself. Love always. Mom. I read the letter 3 times before I sealed it. Then I addressed it to his apartment and put it in the mail. I didn't know if he'd read it. I didn't know if he'd respond, but I'd said what I needed to say, and that was enough. 3 weeks later, I got a text message from Daniel's number. I got your letter. Thank you for writing it. I'm not ready to talk yet, but maybe someday. I hope you're really okay. Take care. It wasn't much, but it was something. A crack in the door. Not an opening, not an invitation, but an acknowledgement. A small sign that maybe, somewhere deep down, he still cared. I texted back. Thank you for letting me know. Take all the time you need. I love you. He didn't respond, but that was okay. I didn't need him to. That evening, I sat on my front porch with a cup of tea. The sun was setting. The neighborhood kids were riding their bikes. Mrs. Chin from next door waved as she walked her dog. Everything was ordinary, normal, beautiful in its simplicity. And I realized something. I was happy. Not happy in spite of what happened with Daniel, not happy because I was pretending it didn't hurt, but happy because I'd learned that my happiness didn't depend on him. It didn't depend on any one person or relationship or outcome. My happiness came from within, from the life I'd chosen to build, from the people who chose to be in my life, from the small, beautiful moments that made up each day. I thought about Robert, about what he'd said before he died. Take care of each other. We tried. We'd all tried in our own imperfect ways. And even though we'd failed in some ways, we'd succeeded in others. Emma and I were closer than ever. I was a present, loving grandmother. I was a good friend. I was a whole person, not just someone defined by my relationships to others. Maybe Daniel would come back someday. Maybe he'd work through his pain and realize he wanted me in his life. Maybe we'd have coffee and talk and slowly rebuild something new. Or maybe he wouldn't. Maybe this distance would be permanent. Maybe I'd never meet his children if he had them. Maybe I'd never be invited to his future. Maybe this was how our story ended. I didn't know, and I'd made peace with not knowing. Because life, I'd learned, is full of unanswered questions, full of relationships that don't work out the way we hoped, full of pain we can't fix, and people we can't reach, and moments we can't get back. But it's also full of second chances, full of new beginnings, full of unexpected joys and small miracles, and the possibility of healing, even when healing seems impossible. I finished my tea as the sun dipped below the horizon. The sky turned pink and orange and purple. Beautiful, fleeting, perfect in its impermanence. Tomorrow, Emma was bringing the kids over for lunch. We were going to make cookies and play in the backyard and do all the normal, wonderful things that made life worth living. And that was enough. More than enough. I stood up, picked up my empty cup, and went inside. I turned on the lights in my little house, my home, my sanctuary, the place where I'd raised my children, loved my husband, survived my grief, and rebuilt my life. The photos on the wall told the story of my journey. Robert, young and smiling, the kids as babies, family vacations, graduations, weddings, Emma's, not Daniel's, and new photos now too. Lily and Robert, my new beginning. I touched the frame of Daniel's high school graduation photo as I passed it. I love you, I whispered. Wherever you are, whatever you need, I love you. And then I moved forward, into my kitchen, into my evening, into my life. Because that's what we do. We love, we lose, we grieve, we heal, we keep going. We take care of each other the best way we know how. And we take care of ourselves too, because in the end, that's all we can do. Love as much as we can, forgive what we're able to, accept what we can't change, and build a life that has meaning and purpose and joy, even when it's not the life we imagined. My life wasn't what I'd imagined. My family wasn't whole. My son was a stranger to me. But I was okay. I was more than okay. I was surviving. I was healing. I was living. And on my front porch, watching the sunset with the promise of tomorrow's laughter waiting for me, I realized something profound. That was enough. I was enough. And maybe, just maybe, that was the lesson I needed to learn all along.